Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you. It's always a pleasure to be here in São Paulo and participate in this event. It's my third time participating in this event in the Plastic Conference, and I like the invitation of Alfredo and the coordination of Simara and the presence of all of you. My subject today is to talk a little bit about our view, not only in the United States, but also the global view that's taking place. Because now you notice that my target's going to be a little bit different from Chris because I'm a market man. So we're talking about packages because it's transforming. Uh, I usually say that plastic is a fundamental part of modern society, and Sumara usually says that uh, paraphrasing about the importance of the plastic in the modern world, because if it did not exist, we would need to invent it because it's so important. But now let's start a little bit. Our industry is suffering several threats from the public, from companies, from NGOs. Currently, we have a complicated situation, but we have a very promising future, and I'm going to talk a little bit about these two trends. 6 years ago, I participated in the event in Porto Alegre, and I said four key messages, but the recommendation here was key. So consumers need to understand the amount of plastic with the amount that they use. And in our objective, we need to have a conscious use of plastic. And this was in 2018 where I said this. When I said this, 3 years ago, I said, I wonder if the industry and the plastic can satisfy the hunger of the public opinion about in terms of information. If the audience understand what's happening with plastic, if the public understands, sees what the NGOs are asking. These were the questions and the statements that I made 3 years ago. So, what have we seen in the after years?
So we've just heard a lot about the reality, the scientific reality, but we also need to understand public opinion. Because in truth, all decisions that are being made by a very important person. And I always talk about them. It's a mother of two children, and this mother goes to the shop, it's buying products for her home and to supply her family, and she's making quick decisions and quickly, and sometimes they have all the information that we've just heard about. So we need to tell them a clear, simple, and quick truth that they can adopt a different attitude. We've just heard a lot about life cycles. We understand these terms. And plastic has a utility, it's important to her. And on a daily basis, we need to understand and explain to the public the importance of plastic in the food health. We receive food from all over the world, from all over the country. We need to explain to people, to those consumers, that plastic makes this product get to their homes healthily, in a protected way that can makes them able to feed their family in a trustworthy way. We also need to explain to the public the importance of plastic in the public well-being. The fact that we have products in the stores available, the fact that we have in every points of sales, and we are able to buy things and we can keep life going, we need to explain that to people so that they can have the right attitude, the right actions based on their reality. Now, a situation that we think is very important. When a man is brushing his tooth in the morning until the time he goes to bed, everything he touches, see, and uses will be made out of this material that has 1,000 uses. And it has been written 100 years ago. They had this view that it existed, but we were talking about bakelite, which was our grandfather of plastic. But we are living a life that was forecast 100 years ago. Now, the public, these people with whom I've worked a lot, the retailers, they see plastic usage in daily life and they are concerned about the amount that they feel because it's something tangible. Many of the issues that we understand as scientists, as manufacturers of plastic, are a little bit, let's say, details that don't make sense, but the public sees it as something tangible. They have this material at hand. So, this concern, this worry about their personal use, and the understood permanence, whether it's real or not, they understand this product as permanent because at their homes it becomes permanent, the product is kept there, and it's available where they need it. They talk about sea pollution, and we've heard from Chris the real facts about this. We need to understand that the public has an idea because they go to the beach. They see what's there in the rivers, in the pollution, and the pollution is something we've started hearing a while ago about microplastics. The plastic gathering. And then we saw the worry about plastic residue, and they started talking about microplastics. And the plastic residue, as we've heard and we know of it, is the theme that concerns us most because in many places, and look at the economically active population, where control and the management of plastic waste is not at the same height as we want it to be. Where we've seen the map that Chris showed, and I was paying attention to the management of plastic waste, and it's adequate, where there is still a lot to do. And the improvement of the management services must be a concern of our industry, the retailers who sell the product that we provide, and also the civil public. And now the point that I want to make clear, the consumers make decisions. Everything we do in our industry, the whole production, everything that we generate as packaging producers, and we need someone to buy, to give us money, and to really purchase. That's something that activates everything we do. It's a lack of sophistication, and they don't always accept new information. So, our objective must be to prepare and explain to these consumers the fact that they can accept it and adopt new actions and new attitudes. Sometimes the volume, the amount of numbers and facts and figures can generate other obstacles for these consumers. Between us, we have a good exchange of ideas and data and facts. With the public consumer, we are always learning about this, and we need to be clear, quick, and easy to understand. This was very interesting, and there was a comparison here, a questioning here in Latam. What should be done with plastic? In Latam, they say that the plastic producers must have the responsibility to reduce residue, and in their words, the plastic pollution, 50% of people who responded in Latam agreed with this positioning. So, our public has an idea that maybe we don't see it the same way. We need to understand that this is a barrier to our future. So, let's start with the reduction of plastic items that will probably be converted into trash. Latam 46%. So our consuming public will, they have an idea that we need to inform and educate in order for them to get to a different standard and level. We work with many companies, with people that have impact on our operations. We're going to talk about three types of companies: the clients, the retailers, and the packaging producers. I'll talk a little bit about each. The clients, the companies, and the brand owners, they are all talking about taking on recycling, packaging, elimination. Others are talking about substitution of packaging materials. We've seen some examples here that Chris told us, and we're going to talk about some more. The retailers, it's the meeting point between products and consumers. It's a place where money exchanges hands, let's say it. And they, the retailers, have just one reason, and it's the loyalty of their consumers is priority. The return every week, twice a week, twice a month. This loyalty of the consumer to their shop is essential. And lastly, packaging producers. We've heard about alternatives that are coming to the market, and I'm going to tell you, there will be more they go up every day, they disappear every day in the market as an attempt to capture the market that plastic already dominates. If we go back 50 years ago and see glass, metal, paper, all these traditional materials dominating the market. But as time went on, plastic took on a lot of space. What we're seeing now is the possible retaking of some room of the market for other materials of packaging. First of all, the brand owners. These aren't my words, but they have come from their website. What is Coca Cola saying? They are looking for a world without waste. And for that, what are they telling us? We need aluminum and cardboard. That's Coca Cola's words, not mine. Mars is now doing in Australia projects of chocolate bars with packaging made of paper. I was at Interpack in Germany, a global packaging fair, and it's amazing the amount of packaging producers that are using paper or alternatives to plastic for chocolate bars. And it's interesting, what they're doing here. Two examples, Coke and bars and Mars, but there are many examples that I could mention: Unilever, Procter and Gamble, and so on. Here's a quote from them: "In the world that we see tomorrow, no packaging becomes waste." Oh, great! These words are interesting, but to reach their objective, this objective, we are investing hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars to reimagine and redesign our packaging. My my previous company, Walmart, is saying exactly the same thing. Now talking about retailers, 100% recyclable, reusable, or compostable. And we're going to see in the next few years how they're going to advance. Carrefour, there is a Carrefour Brazil and their website mentioning some alternatives that they are promoting based on cellulose fiber. Also, Sugar Pão de Açúcar Group. In their case, they're talking about reduction, substitution of packaging in general. But it's interesting what they are saying here. They are putting things in packagings made out of paper. Once again, these aren't my opinions or my words, but it's what being said in the outside world that we all need to be aware of. Now, the packaging producers, what are they saying? They are working everywhere to propose substitution or new alternatives. Murphy Westrock, a big fusion from 2024, substituting plastic dishes so that they can support and have their sustainability targets. Graphic packaging won a big prize because it substituted a plastic pot for chewing gum with something made out of cardboard. It's all of them. What I think it's interesting, they are saying when they truly are writing down in the packaging the amount of plastic was reduced. They are writing it down here. It's a shame, but that's what the market is seeing. That's what the market is going through right now. Our friends from Klabin are saying the same thing. They intend to grow their cardboard paper production based on the substitution of single use plastic. Now, we've heard some words about the NGOs, the US Plastics Pact, the well known plastic pacts that you probably know of. 3 months ago, they realized that they weren't going to reach the goals that they started talking about 6 years ago, that the goals for 2025 wouldn't become concrete. So they said, let's create a new map, a new objective for 2030. And the way that we're gonna do it, that the targets and objectives change and are put together with no questioning. It's interesting that they developed that a list of unnecessary materials. Who said they are unnecessary? Who gave that opinion what is or what isn't unnecessary? But the Plastics Pact ensured that there is a list and that by 2030 they will reduce the amount of virgin plastic by 30%. They have a goal that 100% plastic will be reusable, recyclable, recompostable. So they want to recycle 50% of plastic packaging. Imagine that in the US where they are proposing these goals. Now, let's change a little bit from NGOs and let's see what the governments are doing. In the US, we see the importance of the local government that really has a lot of influence on the decisions, the national government, and in few words, the global treatment. Our map of US, we are not including Hawaii and Alaska. I'm sorry if you are Hawaiian or Alaskan, but what's important is that looking at the confusion that there is from state to state and from municipality to municipality, and what is possible and not possible in plastic packaging. The local governments are maintaining a very strong influence, and especially government in California, Massachusetts, and New York, where we see the very strong influence of the states. And what happens in California usually happens in the other states as well a few years later. And we need to keep this view, very broad view of what's happening. Last month, it was launched here a study, a report about how to mobilize the action from the federal government, how to reduce plastic pollution. And not even thinking about using a different word, they are using plastic pollution. What happens? They have 5 objectives, and they were reported in this report to evaluate reduce pollution at origin, innovation of materials and design, reduce generation of plastic residue, and improve the systems of capturing and dealing with plastic in the environment. This is very interesting. This is very. The government has been trying to do this, and there's been a point of view that was balanced. They tried that, not really guided towards the environmental point of view or the industry. They tried to have equanimity on both sides. But as this report was being published within the government and the organization now, the side of the environmentalists is getting stronger. And based on that, they started changing their point of view in the government environment facing IQ 5. So it changed exactly when this report was launched in the market. So what's happening? We have at IQ 5 the countries that have production limits, countries that don't, and USA was against a limit, and now they are turning into IQ 5 in South Korea, and it's becoming a country that is facing more limitations of plastic. And with this, what I've seen, so there is no treaty right now that probably we're gonna go from Inky 5 with something proposed, but without a requirement, an adhesion from the participants that would require to be able to do that. And this is a graph and of companies that are participating in this group. There are 4 plastic treaties, and with these, I want to know that we have an industry that is facing threats: the public threat, the company's threat, the NGOs, the governments, and that's why we have.
Of, that's why we have problematic reality because we have data that are very much in favor of our growth and the fact that that society depends on plastic. The other day I was changing a device at home and I had the wires and all that. And as important as copper is, the plastic that covers the copper is also very important. So we have a very promising future, but this future will depend on communication, on information that the public can have and accept and also reflect on their purchasing decisions. Because after all, what is bought in retail will determine our future. Thank you very much.
Muito obrigada, Ron.
Thank you very much, Ron. Please stay on the stage so we can pay a tribute to you from Edilson Deitos.